Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Wednesday morning to you all. Hope you guys are doing well out there this morning, having a great start to your day, and I hope you all have been having a great week out there so far. Thank you all for tuning in this morning as we try to figure out what's going to happen weather-wise for your Wednesday. The big weather maker today is going to be this upper level low, and it will continue to be a big weather maker over the next really several days until eventually a couple other areas of energy combines with this upper level low, and we could have a powerful system over areas of the southeast, and this could affect everybody in the eastern U.S. So we need to break that down for you folks, but let's focus on what happens today first, because there's areas of New Mexico, Colorado, where heavy snow will begin to fall throughout the morning and afternoon especially, and then eventually into the overnight hours. It could shift a little bit further east into areas of maybe Oklahoma, Texas, maybe even extreme southwestern Kansas. So we'll break that down in great detail for today, but then stay tuned for the second half of the video. We'll give you the latest information as far as model guidance on what it's showing for this storm system this weekend. There's some chatter beginning to get louder and louder about this storm system this weekend, and these impacts that this system could bring could be comparable to what kind of impacts you get from like a tropical storm. So we need to figure it out. Is there going to be a wintry side to this? So we'll figure it out for you folks. If you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. If you guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put those in the comments below so I can pray over it and so others can do so too. So we'll start off by looking at the water vapor loop, just because it shows our main player very well out here on the field. And here it is. This is upper trough right here with associated low pressure, and you can actually see the spin right into here. It's like literally right over Las Vegas. This will continue to drift eastward, but right now it's bringing moisture on the southeast side of this, and it's coming out the southwest. So you're getting moisture already this morning, and in general this area of the country. It's outside the circle too, but this region right into here, I would actually extend a little bit further out here for the mountains of Colorado, but this area right here could see a lot of snow, and I know that looks kind of everywhere, but a lot of moisture going to get kicked up from the base of this upper trough, just like they always do, and what I'm about to show you on radar will show it very well. At the same time, you got a lot of moisture hanging out down here in South Florida. There's actually a chance of flash flooding, and then you can barely see it, but there's some energy making its way over the Great Lakes area that got some Great Lake, some lake effect snow ongoing across the Great Lakes region this morning. But that's what's going on right now. Eventually, and we will be able to see it well here in the next day or so, there'll be a piece of energy that shoots down here, combines with this right into here, which will eventually work its way somewhere into here, and then there'll be another area of energy that will move out the eastern Gulf, and they will all combine somewhere into here. Wherever they combine, that will tell us where the worst impacts are going to be and how strong the system will be. So I know there's a lot of lines on your screen right now, but there's a lot of pieces that are going to present themselves out here on the field being the lower 48. So let's talk about what's actually falling out there right now. And here it is. It shows it well. Upper trough right into this region that I just drew on your water vapor loop. And in response, you got moisture on the eastern side of this trough, which typically happens. You get moist air that gets pulled out of the south in general as these things dig down. And here it is. You got rain falling in areas of northern Texas, the panhandle of Texas, rain falling in western Oklahoma, and a little bit of snow falling across areas of Colorado. But this really has not got going as of right now, but it will over the next several hours into this afternoon, this evening, and then eventually into the overnight hours. And there's even rain falling along the coastal regions of Texas. We got a lot of heavy rain falling just off the southern tip of Florida, but this will work its way into areas of southern Florida where you guys could get a lot of rain over the next 48 hours. It looks like some rain's falling just south of Tampa Bay. Let me know if you're actually seeing that. I know you guys need the rain down there. And there's that lake effect energy ongoing off, especially Lake Huron, a little bit off Lake Superior, a little bit off Lake Michigan, and Lake Ontario. Lake Erie is about the only lake where you're not really getting any action coming off, but it could be kind of one of those festive, snowy days in the Northeast. Nothing too crazy, but you'll have a lot of flakes flying around the Northeast today, and we'll talk about that here in a second. As far as severe weather today, none. There's just a general risk of thunderstorms. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised to see a little thunder snow in extreme northern and northeast sections of New Mexico like later tonight, as upper level lows are very convective in nature, can bring some very dynamic weather. There's a chance of some thunderstorms down here near Miami too. We'll watch out for that, but nothing severe expected today. Flash flooding, you're going to have to put on your bifocals for this. There is a slight risk for Miami. If you look really closely, a little area of yellow, there is at least a 15% risk of flash flood guidance being met in this area. And I'll talk about why here in a second. A lot of moisture could just only be confined to the southern tip of Florida today. As far as watches and warnings, really your eyes just kind of go right to here. Winter storm warnings up for areas of northeast New Mexico, several counties in southern Colorado, one county in Oklahoma, one county in Amarillo, and then winter weather advisories now extend. And remember, I kind of mentioned that last night. I thought that some winter weather alerts would extend a little bit further north, and now they have. There's several counties in western Kansas now, and they have extended north into eastern Colorado, now have winter weather advisories. So we'll talk about this area here in a second. So winter weather advisories continue for areas of New York State also. The southeast today, most of the moisture will be down here in the southern tip of Florida. A lot of heavy rain will just kind of almost in waves just move into the Miami area. It could be very heavy later this afternoon. But if we go on and just look a little bit closer, and I just want to show you a broad look just because I don't want to ignore anybody else in the southeast. There's nothing else going on in the southeast today. Very quiet weather for everybody else. A little bit closer look at our friends down here in South Florida though. Starting off this morning, we already have a lot more moisture than what the HRRR model is saying we are having. So, that's one thing. But you continue to go, this is getting around midday, early afternoon. Some heavier tropical downpours here in December start to make their way into the Miami area, just north and just south. And, a lot of heavy rain can fall from these throughout the late evening. And then maybe the overnight hours, you get a break. And then as we're waking up tomorrow morning, some more rain could be in the picture here. But I don't think the HRRR model is doing the best job at picking up on how much rain could really fall over the next 48 hours. We start to make our way into tomorrow evening, and I think a lot more rain is going to show up than what this is showing. In fact, the National Weather Service, would agree with this, because between now and the next 48 hours, which is Friday morning, they're going for 3, 4, 5 inches of rain. They're going for 5 inches of rain around the Miami area. And if you were to look at the HRRR model, it would not suggest that. So a lot of rain down here in the southern tip of Florida. Definitely do not let this catch you off guard. Northeast, totally different story. Obviously, it's further north. You got some snow flying around, and man, some of these snow showers could be heavy. Stop it here. It's around lunchtime. Look at these snow showers making its way out of areas of Canada into New York State. I mean, even Vermont, New Hampshire. And you see these dark blues here. Some of this will put a quick coating of snow on surfaces out there where, even on the ground where you don't have snow anymore. I'm not sure how much snowpack you got going up there in New York State or Vermont and New Hampshire, but I'm sure there's areas that do have snow on the ground from the system that just worked its way through a couple days ago. But these are going to be some heavier bursts of snow. This is around midday. Then we get into later this afternoon. I think Syracuse will begin to get into some fun, if you call it fun, with some of these heavier snow showers. These could drift all the way into the Catskills. Maybe the Berkshires, and then eventually some snow showers could make their way all the way to Boston. I think it's very possible some of it could make it all the way down there, and it even has some snow showers making it all the way down to Connecticut, Rhode Island. Maybe it makes it to New York City. And these continue, they kind of drift southward as the energy drifts southward. Finger Lakes region later this evening, southern tier, maybe some flurries and some snow showers drifting around. And, this could add up, especially in the first half of the day. A couple inches of snow is possible, maybe an inch of snow in the Syracuse area, Watertown, and just kind of east into these mountainous regions of kind of north central and northern areas of New York State. But, the Finger Lakes region, a dusting of snow is possible, maybe an inch. We look at, there it is, right there. You look at these regions, Vermont, New Hampshire, maybe a dusting of snow. Robin, you might get a dusting of snow today. I know you tune in every day, and I really appreciate you. But some of these higher elevation regions could get a little bit. But I mean, it's even, the blend of all models is even showing a dusting potential for areas of southern New England. So we'll see if that materializes. But this is the big storyline today for sure. South central U.S., a lot of rain this morning. But as we make our way into this afternoon, about 1 to 2 p.m., there's the heavy snow that gets going. here in northeast sections of New Mexico. And it was really cool seeing some comments. I wasn't able to read all of them, but I saw some comments about people saying they're tuning in from New Mexico. And I do apologize for not knowing all these towns and cities in New Mexico and these communities. Some of them are hard to pronounce, and I'm not the best with pronouncing things at all. I think folks that's been watching my channel for quite some time know that, but I give it my best try. So, we'll do another video this evening, and I'll try to give my best guess at some of these towns, but by then it'll already be snowing for a lot of these areas. We're getting into 1-2 p.m. Snow is falling heavily in areas, especially these higher elevations in New Mexico, southern sections of Colorado. The snow begins to fall. And then we get to around this evening. It's around 5-6 p.m. Snow really confined to northeast New Mexico, but the snow begins to move north. It's kind of a weird directional flow. Typically, you don't have moisture. I mean, you do sometimes in situations like this, but a lot of times it comes from the north or northwest. In this case, it's coming right from the south, and here comes the moisture. It's creeping all the way up to Denver. As we're getting into this evening, could get a burst of snow in the Denver area, pretty much all the way up the Front Range. It could make it all the way to the Colorado, Wyoming, Nebraska border. And you continue to keep this going, guys. You get into the overnight hours, just kind of rounds and waves of moderate to heavy snow. And, you take it to about 1-2 o'clock in the morning tonight, you continue to get these heavier. Look at these yellows and reds. This is really convective in nature. That's why I would not be surprised if you get some thunder snow in New Mexico today. Wouldn't be surprised one bit. But look at this rain switching to snow in the far western counties of Kansas. That's why you have winter weather advisories for what's going to happen tonight. But then you're waking up tomorrow morning and you still have these rounds of heavy snow in these areas. But look at the rain trying to switch to kind of rounds of heavy snow into western sections. I'm talking about like the far western 2 counties of Oklahoma. Same thing with Texas. The far northwestern counties of the Panhandle of Texas. And this continues. And I think that as we're getting into tomorrow, this is when you could get some heavy snow into these 2 sections right here of Oklahoma and Texas, where you could pick up maybe a few to several inches of snow. But what's interesting, I know we're getting into tomorrow at this point, this moisture finally starts to move more east. Look at Thursday evening. Tomorrow evening, heavy snow in the Panhandle of Texas and Oklahoma. You could get some snow that drifts into the Amarillo area. I definitely think you could. But, man, this is some heavy snow. Very convective in nature. I know I keep saying that. I think there's going to be some bolts of lightning and rumbles of thunder with this. And then this gets a move on. And, you stop it here. It goes all the way out to 1 a.m. Friday morning, and you switch to some heavy snow in Amarillo. But you start to lose kind of the wintry component of this as you get into Friday morning. So snowfall in New Mexico between now and Friday evening. Going for a lot up here. If you live in these far northeast counties if I said northwest counties of New Mexico, I do apologize. I meant to say northeast. But if you live in these northern and northeast counties of New Mexico, a lot of snow, guys. Several inches of snow. Definitely stay tuned to your local people, because obviously there's higher elevation regions in these areas and just higher areas. But, even in this case, you don't really have to be on top of mountaintops to see snow. I know it's a gigantic plateau out there all the way until you get to the Rockies. But, I don't think northwest areas of New Mexico gets a lot of snow from this, but could get a little bit. But Colorado, guys, they have definitely increased the snowfall for these regions. And this is only going out. I'm going to take a look at this. Go all the way out to Saturday morning. Going for maybe an inch of snow in like Denver. But once you get south of Denver, Colorado Springs, down to Pueblo, or something like that. You guys have corrected me 100 times, like on Pueblo, but hopefully I said it right. But you guys please correct me on this, and then I'll try to remember it for the next video. But I can't make any promises. But anyways, good bit of snow in these areas. Southern Colorado, several inches of snow. One thing I want you to notice here is the differences in this area, right where Colorado meets Oklahoma. Just in this area right down in here, there is a substantial difference and disagreement with these National Weather Service offices, and you can see it here. There is, in the far southeast corner of Colorado, it just doesn't make any sense. They're going to have to work together to fill this in, and it's just because National Weather Service offices don't agree with one another. It's not like they're literally bickering back and forth, but This will probably close in more, but I mean, look at this. Going for over a half a foot of snow in the extreme western section, the extreme western section of the western county of Oklahoma. Going for like over 6 inches of snow. But I mean, even going for an inch of snow potentially over the next 48 hours in Amarillo. So this will be an interesting event for sure. I mean, western and southwestern sections of Kansas could get a few inches of snow. It's very possible. So we continue to make our way, though, north. That's an update on that. I hope that helps. I'm sorry for not mentioning a lot of towns, and if I messed up Pueblo, I do apologize there. But please correct me. I'm never going to take offense to it if you correct me with the town names and things like that. You guys are a big help. And maybe one day if I can get some time, maybe I'll put a spreadsheet like right beside me that I can master when I'm in the middle of doing these videos. But anyways, the north central U.S., nothing really going on today. You see the moisture trying to creep up from that upper level low, but we've kind of already talked about that. But there's nothing really going on up here for you folks today. It's very quiet weather. The lake effect snow that is happening on Lake Superior, Lake Michigan, a little bit of snow flurry activity will just kind of fall apart later today, and really won't be a story anymore as we are getting into tomorrow morning. But Western U.S., it's quiet also. The main weather we've already spoke on, which is down here in New Mexico and Colorado. And this system tries to enter the western sections of Washington State. But with a ridge in place, most of the moisture gets thrown north into Canada. But as we are getting into tomorrow morning, we could be dealing with some moisture, maybe some snow in the Olympic Mountains. But some moisture does begin to drift into the western sections of Washington as we're getting greeted our Thursday morning up here. But all in all, there ain't a whole lot going on out here. There really isn't, besides this and this that moves in tomorrow morning. Pretty quiet weather. Temperatures pretty cold up here in the Northeast, locked in below freezing in the interior sections of the Northeast. Even cold along the big cities, just 30s and low 40s. Certainly a Christmassy feel in the Northeast today with some snow showers drifting around depending on where you are. Southeast, you're starting to warm up a little bit, 50s and 60s. Florida will be warm into the 70s with some moisture building in. And then the middle of the country, chilly, but, is still probably slightly above average in these areas for sure. Definitely above average up here from the northern portion of the country and the northern plains. Just no real cold air that's really in place anywhere. Pretty nice day out west. A little chilly, a little bit more chilly here because of this upper level low in place in the southwest. So you're going to be dealing with probably below average temperatures today because you do have that upper level low right overhead. So definitely a more chilly day for you folks out here. But that's it for today. Let's move ahead. All right, so let's take a look at the latest GFS. What does it do with this upper level low and this energy? All right, we'll give you the great information that you guys probably want to see, which is what exactly is it going to do, and then we'll talk about the energy here in a second. But if you notice, there's that energy right here that kind of dips down, could bring some snow for areas of the upper Midwest. But you got three things going on here. You got a low developing in the eastern Gulf of Mexico. You got this energy right here that's associated with the upper level low, and then you got this clipper shooting down from Canada right down here. But it's a pretty warm clipper. There's not a lot of cold air associated with it. It will try to inject some cold air into this, but it won't be a lot. So these all kind of combine together. It kind of misses this clipper on the latest GFS, but the upper level low does combine with this energy down here in the Gulf of Mexico. And by the time you are getting into Saturday evening, you have a ton of moisture getting thrown into Florida. I mean, heavy moisture with the potential for a severe weather event, which we'll talk about here in a second. And then this low just goes right into the panhandle of Florida as we're getting into Sunday morning, just throwing a ton of heavy precipitation rain into Georgia, eastern Alabama, all the way up into the Carolinas. And this continues to get basically slingshot all the way up into the mid-Atlantic, the Northeast, and just all rain. This low gets off the coast of the Southeast. It gets fully cut off again and just kind of drifts around. There's enough cold air in place up here in the Northeast to, once you get into like 6 days from now, it wants to throw a little bit of a wintry mix for areas of the Northeast, even throw some wintry weather all the way down here in areas of Virginia. But guys, I'm telling you, there's a lot to work out with all this. But man, it wants to throw kind of a nasty wintry mix for areas of the mid-Atlantic and Northeast. But I'm not calling that a forecast at all. I'm telling you, an upper level low or a cutoff low is a weatherman's woe. I said that in the last couple videos, and that is because they are extremely hard to forecast, guys. Very hard to forecast. And this continues to spin around 9 to 10 days from now. Here it is. It continues just to spin around out here off the coast of North Carolina, and then it finally heads on out. All right, what about the Euro? What does the Euro do? Here it comes. Upper level low energy, Clipper energy, Gulf of Mexico energy. Okay? They do kind of combined. Here comes the Gulf low, low pressure, starting to impact all of Florida as we're getting into Sunday morning. A little bit different. It crashes this low right into Tampa Bay. And it's probably because it's not getting pulled up as much with this upper level low that is moving across the country, that will be moving across the country. And eventually it does get pulled. It feels kind of the tug from this upper level low, which is right in here. And, brings heavy impacts to Florida. And then develops a pretty stout low pressure off the coast of the Carolinas late Sunday evening, and just brings a lot of moisture up the coastal sections of the eastern U.S. But it definitely evolves much different. It doesn't sling as much heavy precipitation and strong winds deeper into the southeast. But this turns into a pretty stout low pressure as we get into early next week for the Northeast and the southern New England, and the Euro would be definitely a big wind maker for southern New England. Then look at the back end snow behind it. But both the Euro and the GFS, which are two main models we look at, don't agree. One thing we can look at is the blend of all models for rain. I'll just look at this for now. This is between now and next Tuesday morning. Going for widespread rain in Florida. We need it because you guys have been getting kind of gypped with these rainstorms. Widespread rains are almost an automatic with this for Florida. Soaking rains, 2, 3, 4 inches of rain's coming. But it gets a little tricky once you get further north. But I think if you're along the coastal sections of Georgia, the Carolinas, maybe up into the Delmarva, I think another rainy weekend, especially later half of the weekend into early next week, is almost an automatic. I wouldn't say automatic, but it's increasingly likely. So we got to figure this one out for sure. But, you even go up to the Northeast with the blend of all models, and we'll actually take a little farther up here, and we go all the way up to next Thursday morning, and here it is. Most of it is confined to the I-95 corridor, and this is rain, guys. This is not snow. But we do have to watch any kind of cold air injection that gets pumped into this system. GFS kind of showed the idea of that, so we definitely need to watch that scenario with this. Now, talking about winds, the GFS is a scenario we do not want to see. And we'll start this off Friday afternoon. Winds are already starting to gust to 30, 35, maybe 40 miles per hour along the west coast of Florida as this low pressure deepens in the eastern Gulf of Mexico. We start to get into Saturday afternoon, this coming Saturday afternoon. Then we start to get into Saturday evening. Look, this is kind of resembling a tropical system with how strong the winds are. 40, 50, 55 mile per hour wind gusts moving into the Big Bend and Panhandle of Florida. You got winds gusting. These are wind gusts. And I can tell you the GFS suffers from a convective feedback, which means it likes to overdo these systems. It really does. But it's sticking to its guns, so we're going to compare both. And it likes to overdo the wind gusts too. So I would knock this down another 5 to 10 miles per hour. But it does want to show Sunday morning we're getting power outages in areas of Georgia. We're getting 40, 50 mile per hour wind gusts moving into southeast areas of Alabama, Georgia, and the winds really start to really pick up for areas of the Carolinas, probably the mountains. And then look at the actual main kind of extension from this low getting kind of slung into with a stout southeast flow getting pushed into the coastal regions of the Carolinas. This would be an issue because this would basically push an onshore flow into the Carolina coastline, and that would definitely bring some trouble, some storm surge and beach erosion. Yeah. So we're getting into Sunday, and it's definitely hitting the coastal regions hard with a wind right off the ocean. 40, 50 mile per hour wind gust. And then even the back end of this is gusty too. And then this pulls out. What about the, we got to look at this. What about the European? What is this showing? We'll have to go back to this and look at that. What is this showing as far as these winds? It's not as bad further inland. But we're starting to move into Sunday, and it keeps the worst winds way offshore. Totally different scenario compared to the GFS. You do get gusty winds over Florida, but nothing comparable as far as the GFS with what it's showing to the west. The Euro wants to keep this mostly off the coastline, okay, the worst impacts. But the Euro does go on and affect the Northeast heavily because it really turns into more so like a coastal low, like a nor'easter type setup. So the winds on the Euro could really, really affect areas of southern New England more with this system. The GFS kind of goes back out into the Atlantic Ocean. Well, I won't say it goes back out, it never was, but it goes out into the Atlantic Ocean. But here's the Euro. Would be a big windstorm for Atlantic Canada also. Euro would bring some significant winds late Sunday night into Monday morning, Monday afternoon for areas of southern New England. So that's just something we got to watch. What does the GFS do as far as winds? It brings some heavy winds also. In fact, it is just as comparable. I did the same thing in last night's video. It does bring strong winds, just like the European does. But it's hard to believe the winds are going to be this strong with the GFS, but it is very possible. The GFS really likes to overdo winds. It really does. But, you know, it does want to bring some very strong winds Monday for southern New England, just like how y'all dealt with this past Monday. So we'll see what happens with this. But there is a severe weather threat to this that's being discussed somewhat from the Storm Prediction Center. And really, I don't think it's going to materialize as severe as it could unless the GFS is the scenario that plays out. The GFS brings a very strong kinetic wind field into the entire state of Florida. These are winds, you know, it's a 60, 80 knot low-level jet getting slung into sections of northern Florida, and this affects, you know, areas of Georgia. A lot of wind energy is basically what I'm trying to say. And yeah, anybody that's south and east of this low will get that moist sector, which are these dew points right here. Look at these dew points that begin to rise in Florida as we're getting into late Saturday night. There could be a nasty damaging line of storms in areas of Florida that we need to watch out for that has a lot of wind energy with it. And then we have to watch a severe weather threat, I would think, along the coastal regions of South Carolina and Georgia, maybe even all the way up to southeast Virginia, if something like this, like the GFS, would play out. So the main pieces of energy out there in the field, you can actually see them pretty well. This is the upper level low right here. This dives down. We stop it right here. There's your clipper coming out of Canada. There's your upper level low that's creating this winter storm across areas of the southern high plains and the south central U.S. And there's your Gulf low energy. Watch as they kind of tango with one another. And yeah, the clipper kind of misses, but man, you get a strong Gulf low that combines with this strong upper level low, you're going to have a pretty strong and powerful storm system. So there's a lot to figure out with this, and we will certainly figure it out. But that's all I got. God bless all y'all, and have a great Wednesday.